welcome to another episode of Lost Like Mike. So it finally happened. I missed an episode last week. In full disclosure, I set up all the equipment. I sat down for a good 40 minutes and recorded. But right before I started recording, I had a disagreement. And so the whole time I was talking, I wasn't there. I was like, I don't know. And then right in the middle, I got a phone call from the person I had the disagreement with. I really don't want to get into all that part of it because it just feels like, just focusing on a stupid negative argument that kind of came and went and really shouldn't even have been there. But I was just about to embark on a really hard, long week. And in the moment, I said, you know what? It's crap. I don't like this. I'm going to delete it. And I deleted the episode. And then I got started on my week, which we'll talk about the week. But right after I deleted it, I said to myself, I realized the week is so chock full of stuff. There'll never be a time that I can record that episode. And I tried. So basically, I'll get into it in more detail, but I was scheduled to perform a lot of performances. That's redundant. I had a lot of performances scheduled throughout the week because it's Fiesta week in San Antonio. So I was playing 7 days. Well, I'll put it this way. I was doing 7 performances in 6 days, and it turned out I added an 8th job at the end of it. So I was doing I knew I was going to be doing a show every day, every night, and plus working and my regular, so I said to myself, I would come home at really late at night, and I knew I'd have to get up in the morning for work the next day. I got home at midnight every night this week, 11 o'clock or midnight, and I just couldn't do it, man. I couldn't record the episode, and there's all kind of arguments that you can make about wanting to work hard, and I was ready burning it at both ends, but they talk about successful people and their ambitions and being able to push yourself and just getting the job done. But in reality, I kept thinking to myself that I didn't want to put out just for the sake of putting it out, even though it's different. It's a contradiction in terms, but when I say that I'm going to put an episode out, hell or high water, even if I'm depressed, even if I'm upset, even if I'm angry, even if I'm sad, because I'm trying to represent those emotions as honest as I can be. I don't feel comfortable just putting out an episode in a moment of exhaustion, because I feel like that's just me sitting here going, and then I'm tired because I just been busy all day and I don't really have anything to say, but you know what I mean? I think that's really not showcasing any sort of emotion. It's more, it's showcasing a state of mind, just too tired to articulate anything of any merit. So, but okay. So that part of it, I just basically, I deleted it. And really, most of the conversation that I was talking about that day was talking about getting ready for this hard week. And yeah, I tangented off into a couple different topics, but by the end of it, I think if I remember correctly, I was getting angry about whatever misunderstanding was involved in the argument. So it sounded petty in retrospect. And all right, so enough about that. So I ended up playing 7 shows, and I regularly play like 3 shows a week. So I mean, it was really just adding on like 5 shows, 4 or 5 shows. So right. I did Saturday and Sunday, my normal shows, and then we added Monday, and then I did Tuesday through Friday, so that's 7, and then I doubled up on, oh, look at my math is all stupid. So I did, all right, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's 7, and then a second show on Friday, that's 8, and then another show on Saturday, that's 9, and then I ran sound for a parade, for the Flambeau Parade, so that's 10, and then today I'm doing another show, it's Sunday, so that's 11. So I don't know what garbage I was talking about at the beginning of this episode. I'm doing 11 shows this week, plus my regular day job and everything else. So I didn't have time, and I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry to myself because I did over 90 episodes, being able to do an episode every week, and midway during the week, as I'm doing my other shows and realizing that I can't cram it in anywhere, I had ideas like, you know what, maybe I'll just put the phone, I'll put a phone on my dash and I'll just do an episode while driving, because I have to commute a lot, and it'd be like 45 minutes wherever I'm going, and maybe I could just, do an episode that way. And maybe one of these days I will, but I haven't checked the sound quality on something like that, and I don't know if that's going to work. And I had other ideas, like I would do a double episode today where I would do part 1 and part 2 and divide it in half, and so I could be back on track number wise. And I may do that. I don't know. I mean, I feel like we should just talk today, and however long the conversation goes, just make it natural, make it real, and let it be, and just get back to doing an episode a week and be fine. I mean, there was a ton of stuff that happened over the last 2 weeks since, missing that week of an episode. And then this week, obviously, I just can't even get past this week because it was just a lot. So we can get to it. Some of the shows that we added were there's all these different Fiesta events that go on in the city. If you're not familiar with Fiesta, look, I only know this because it's like random factoids, but I only know some of this stuff because I was just I just did a trivia contest that I had to write and host for my work. So Fiesta started in 1891. There was a president of the United States. I want to say Grover Cleveland. I'd have to look it up. I don't remember that part, but that was going to come down to San Antonio. So then they had these ladies decided that they were going to have a parade to welcome the president, and they called it the Battle of Flowers Parade because they wanted to celebrate the Battle of San Jacinto and the Battle of the Alamo. And so they did this parade where they would throw flowers at each other, right? That they would throw flowers off of the floats or whatever, and to commemorate those battles. And they had roughly estimated 38,000 people that came Um, so it's a really big deal here in San Antonio. I mean, they've only not done it for during the World War I, World War II, and during COVID was the only 3 times that they've canceled. I'm not just going to rattle off factoids, but anyway. And it's just made up of all these different events. They have parades, they have bands and dances, and like the Flambeau Parade and the Battle of Flowers Parade, and there's an event called NIOSA, which is Nights in Old San Antonio. Which that one started with these ladies. I think they were, I want to say they were nuns, but they were selling fish plates. And it became this 4-night event where they have bands and vendors, and they sell all different kind of food that's not good for you. And just anyway, there's all these events. Estimated 3.8 million people will be in San Antonio just for the in attendance to these events. You know, and there's always people being stupid. I think, like on the last night of what they call Market Square, where they have these bands and stuff, they had two people drew guns on each other and started shooting at each other, and they both were killed by the police. Or 2 people were killed in that fighting exchange between 2 people. I think the cops just shot whoever had guns. But if you can imagine, like saying, yeah, I'm going to go watch some bands play and dance, you know, to some Latin music, and then get shot dead, you know what I mean? Or get in some dumb fight. And look, I don't go to these, I won't go to anything. I'm that lame unless I'm performing there or whatever. To give you an explanation, I grew up as even a baby, like a small child. My father would play Fiesta every year, Market Square every year, different, you know. And I always hated it. You know, I never could get down with it. I never understood it. I couldn't. It was crowded. It would always be like just people drinking, like a stale smell of beer, and just all like the natural bad smells of the city. And but anyway, I just not really where I was at mentally, not really what I've ever wanted or enjoyed. And I think it might stem from, what are we doing today? Or we're going to go to another one of Dad's shows. And so you're going to hang out and sit around, wait for them to buy you a Coke or something, and like 9 out of 10, you're just waiting around for them to be finished playing. But that was your job. I mean, you couldn't really do anything else. You're a kid. And I guess I just grew up not wanting to be there unless I had to be there. And so, and for many years, we would play these Market Square shows, and there'd be like 1 or 2 homeless people that were like panhandling for, like, I guess, or just going to exploit the free entertainment, and would be like the only 2 people on the dance floor, and it would just be disheartening. Like, you'd just be like, what is this? You know, what are we doing here? Like, I don't know. And it just left a bad taste in my mouth. This year was a little bit better, but I think it's easy for people to say, oh, well, that's the decline of society. I mean, they had a riot on the first night, and then they had 2 people get shot, killed on the last night. And it's like, well, yes and no. People are there's a crappy element of people everywhere. And I think sometimes you need things to come to a head. I think I do agree that there's like a level like of 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 bad that is there, but I think it's there whether I think it's more socioeconomic than it is cultural. I think that like there's like a sort of glorified thug life that's going on right now that it's feeding into itself and make it. I mean, I saw some people we did 4 nights at night at San Antonio where it was packed. I mean, there was people, tons of people. Beautiful experience, and I'll tell you that part of it. Like, it was a big deal to me. Like, we played with like a 2-time winning. I heard 2 different people say it different. Like, they've won several Grammys. Campana de America. Americas. I'm gonna say it wrong. I'm gonna sound like a white dude no matter what I do. Don't worry about it, man. They make fun of me all the time. I should have just stuck to saying a mariachi group. Okay. Don't like cut that part out and just keep playing. Don't do that to me. Anyway, and man, I tell you, so good. I should have just looked at the name and said it better. Because I was so worried about saying the wrong word that I sounded pretty silly. I'll show you. So maybe I'll post it up or something. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Who cares? Doesn't matter. But we would play an hour, and then they would play an hour, and then we'd play an hour, and then they'd play an hour again to close out the night. And on the last 2 nights, they brought me and some of the guys in the band up to sing with the mariachi group, and it was pretty cool. Like, and the crowds were really supportive, and like they were dancing and clapping and being part of the show, which was great. We played 4 nights, and I only say the last 2 nights because it's just kind of like some nights you can have so much participation and so much, like, it was so packed that it made the first 2 nights seem like kind of okay. But the first 2 nights kind of felt like a warm up, you know what I mean? Like, we were doing okay. The crowd was all right. It was sort of lukewarm. And, like, good show, yeah, good show. And the mariachis, good show, but on the last 2 nights, it was like kind of crazy. Like, it was pretty awesome. And they had the mariachi. They would have several players that their voices were stupid good. Like, I knew it from the first night. I was like I want to learn how to sing like that. Like, I want that in my repertoire. They would hit a note and hold it for like you hold a note and you think, okay, a normal human can do that. I could do that. And then at one point you're like, hold a minute. Like, that note's still holding. Like, she's still, like, it was a guy and a girl that did it at 2 different times. The girl was a beast. Like, she was like scary good. Cause she would hold it like, boom, like hit that note. And then just when you think she's going to be out of breath, she'd hold it for another few seconds. And then she would do a vocal line at the end of it. And I was like, come on. Like, where are you breathing? Like, if you were just underwater, just holding your breath, you know what I mean? I'd already been like turning different colors, but the crowds really loved it, and they were all about it. And I was helping my cousin's band, so it's like his Ronnie T band. I talked about it. Well, see, that's the funny thing. Okay, so unless this is the first time you've ever listened to this, I don't know if I said on the last episode. It might have been on the dead one that I destroyed, but for like majority of the night, I was playing one of those it's kind of like a washboard or whatever, metal, and with you have like this brush, and you do like a and you'd have to have variations of that depending if it was a cumbia or whatever, like a different styles of we did a merengue song and like different stuff. You just change your rhythm styles, tambourines and other cowbells and percussion instruments. And yeah, I played bass on a few songs, and I sang a few songs, and I sang backup. But, for majority of the show, I was playing, these, and I was kind of, being a backup dancer, like kind of just being in the show, right? And on that episode, I talked about how I didn't know how to feel about that. I didn't know. I showed up to this rehearsal, and I knew that they had a guy who was going to be playing Tejano bass and like the Latin bass or whatever. And so he did some country too and different things. Very talented. They used two different two different bass players. One at the one sets a show, and then we did one on Saturday. Yesterday we did one at the San Fernando Cathedral that we were on the main stage, and they brought in another bass player, and he was great too. He did all the Latin stuff, and he had it all covered. He was learning songs on the spot, and he was really great. His name's Aldo. And the other bass player was Renee. I don't know why I'm telling you all that. You're never going to meet him, but whatever. Great, talented fellas, right? But, and by the way, if you hear my kiddo in the background or my wife, they're here today, and they were like, we're just going to be us, and we're going to be talking and doing whatever, like just record your episode and don't give us a hard time. So, yeah, so anyway, we played these 4 nights. I'm never of the type to even want to walk around. You know what I mean? But on the first night, I tried to eat some of the food that was there, just a little bit, and it gave me heartburn all night. I mean, I just can't, I'm not down with it, man. I can't be eating like that. That's not me trying to be like snobbish. I'm just telling you, physiologically, I can't eat. I can't knowingly put that in my body and think that I'm going to be above it and not like, my cousin dropped out of the shows on Saturday because he got sick off of it. I'm like, dude, I wasn't being like, whatever. But, so basically the way it would go is I did my normal shows on the weekend, and then on Monday I had to go to work, and that one I had to leave early to go do another show at the Mad Dogs, where we normally do our shows, because they asked us to add a night. But then on Tuesday I had to get off of work, haul it to the parking garage, change in the car again, and then I had to walk like 5 blocks to get to I think it was like 5, like 1, 2, like far. We'll say like a half a mile, something like that. I don't even know how long of a walk it was. I did this one thing on my app where I joined a walking contest, and it had a ridiculous amount of steps. Sorry. Like it was like walking around the world or whatever. No, but I'm not saying my steps, but I was on a team, and the accumulated steps between all of the people on my team, we walked like to all these destination spots around the world. And it was the perfect week for me to be on that contest, because like I said, 11 shows. And I've already done 10 of the shows and 10 of the events. So my happy ass has been walking around like crazy. Like I did over 100,000 steps, like 120 or something thousand steps over this week. Because Because also you factor, I'm there, you know, doing a little dance for however long I'm performing for them on their shows. So, but what I was trying to get at about being at these shows and not wanting to walk around was I was walking through all these people, and yeah, you've got a lot of nice people, a lot of sweetheart people, a lot of great San Antonians that are, and people from around the world, whatever, that are here to celebrate, whatever. But then you got this element of thugs, of just trash. And I say that because when I say trash, don't get me wrong. There's people that are that are not wealthy, that are poor, that I'm not talking about. People that are hardworking people that are maybe don't have as much as the next guy. I'm not talking about them. I could be talking about very affluent people that have money. And then this big girl was walking in front of me, and these group of guys, they're being like, "Oh no, that's a linebacker right there. That's a big girl. That's make way. Like making fun of this lady." And I'm thinking they got to be. I mean, why are they like? They know her. They're friends with her. What's going on? There's all these guys and girls, and they're all in the mix of this. But that's just trash behavior. Like, there's no reason to act like that. And there was like these trashy guys that are just kicking cans and throwing bottles and being plastic bottles and whatever, and being like, being drunk and mouthing off. Um, and it's a powder keg when you have that mix. When you have people that are drinking, probably drinking before they get there. And then drinking while they're there, and then acting. What do you think happens when you get all inebriated? You act stupid. It's just, in this case, you're in public, with my events were all, for the most part, adult events where but you'd see people carrying babies and kids. It's like, dude, my first Fiesta, they got, like a baby in a carrier or whatever, like, and it bothers me a little bit, like when you have like little babies and little toddlers, standing in front of like my speakers, which are like blasting. They're loud for me and pop in my ears, and so I know they're knocking the crap out of that little kid's ears. But anyway, my main point of like the judgment part of that is that like there's a certain pressure to have that macho attitude and be all, and then you have people that are running around with their little phones trying to provoke events so that they could film it, you know what I mean, like acting like asses just so they could try to provoke somebody to react and then film it, you know what I mean. It's all trash. I don't like any of it. And whatever like culture, whatever race, whatever socioeconomic position, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. What matters is that behavior in that particular context is trash to me. It's a waste of space and shouldn't be part of it. Like somebody commented and said they should just charge for going to these events, as if it was the poor people that were causing the problems. It really isn't the poor people by the nature of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't, oh, you don't have any money, oh, you obviously are part of the problem. That's not the case. I'm saying, there's some sort of, anyway, I don't want to get in the weeds with it, but all I'm saying is that you could be rich, poor, doesn't matter. You could be white, black, Hispanic. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you show up with an agenda to just be thuggish, to be, stupid. ugh, it's just gross. You watch these people and you just know. Like I look at this guy, I was watching these guys and I was like, you're just here to be stupid. You're here to make trouble. You either want to get in a fight, or you want to piss somebody off, or you want to ruin somebody else's night, and that's gonna make your night. That's all you're here to do, and it's stupid, dude. And then you got all these girls following them around with their butt cheeks hanging out and being like all floozied out and being like, like that is it's not even attractive, dude. It's just this powder keg of getting ready for stupid crap to happen. Anyway, but outside outside of that element, it was fun. It was good. You had a lot of good musicians, whatever. Which there's another part. They had this La Semana Alegre, which was like something really big in the 90s in San Antonio. We had a lot of big bands would come to San Antonio and would perform. And as a young aspiring musician, you dreamed of wanting to be a part of that and being on that stage. And then flash forward, and they have this event, and they brought it back, and then they brought back they brought bands. If I had a rock and roll, if I had a group and I had music that I wanted to present, then I would be, wanting to have that. But I wouldn't do it right now. Not with the situations that I'm in right now. I wouldn't half-ass throw a band together and go out there and do it. I wouldn't do it. But it was the part that kind of bummed me out, because I would have liked to. If I knew they were bringing it back, I would have started writing some music and getting some things together and starting to push it. And I might start doing that. I still have that in me where I want to, but I would want it to be new and different. Ironically, and this is gonna, if it falls on the wrong ears, it may affect people in a negative way. But I don't really see that scene in San Antonio to put new original sounding music out that's all your own. I've always had this. I've tried in San Antonio, and one could argue that maybe it's just not your brand of original new music, that maybe they're just not feeling it. But this is a city, they want it to be of proven, like if you do something in Austin, if you do something in Dallas, if you do something, outside of here, and you come and you bring something original and new, then yeah, there's some venues you could perform at, and then they'll be like, oh, we know cool and different and original things, yay. But it has to be some shtick, like it has to be some, like, where you have, anyway, I don't want to get into all that. I haven't seen that here in San Antonio. It's a sad thing, but I've seen them not support, and I've seen them tear down their local groups for some defeat, some competitive petty bullshit. Like I've seen people, like a rock group go up, and I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about just going as somebody watching, and then their mijo or whatever goes up and plays, and they'll woo, get crazy, right? And then here comes the next band, and they have to act like they don't care, because they don't want it to be like they're better than the other one. And it's like, that's gross, dude. That's not how you build a movement. That's not how you build you have multiple bands. That is not the way that it went down in Seattle or in LA, or Nashville or any of the hot spots where multiple acts came out of an area, Atlanta, Georgia, whatever. It's not how it went down. Read your history books. You know, you support it as a collective, as a group, as different groups, and you support each other, and you all go to the other people's shows, and you root them on, and you share their videos, and you share their content, and that's how you build up an area. It's not by like taking all your people outside when the other band comes on, so that it looks like you had more people, whatever. That's some petty bullshit. That's dumb. That's the way it I've watched it happen here for years. Anyway, I digress. You know, a lot of people used to think that was the way that I was, because it seemed like I would show up to a show, perform, and then I would dip. I would leave right away. And I mean, I get it. I'm not here to prove anything to anybody, but I would literally I'd go to work and I would work 2-3 jobs. And this is in the heyday of me doing original music. I was having to provide for my family. So I would be working 2-3 jobs. I'd get off of work and I would change and I would haul ass to the show, you know, sore, tired, and put on some clean clothes, jump on stage and perform. And then I would run home and go to bed. I can get a couple hours sleep before I go to my next, you know, work job. That's not the same thing. I'm not talking about that. But I'm talking about like having your crowd like ignore the band just so they could give the appearance that your band was better. And I think that's just gross. And it's sad, but I think it's indicative of the scene here in San Antonio and how it's been and the culture of it like since forever. Hey, comment in the comments if I'm lying or if it's different now. But I don't know, I'd like to meet some musicians and make some music and not be pigeonholed into some sort of genre and say, oh, let's do like a heavy metal or let's do a hard rock or let's do this, whatever. I'd love to hear some horns or some keyboards and some different things and make some, you know, something that's new and different or just something that's unique to those players. You know what I mean? Like I would like for it to be just different. Anyway, so one of the nights I went to, I had to walk a couple blocks out of the festival and just get a burger. I was at some restaurant. I had to get something, you know, some fast food joint. And I sit down and first of all, I wrote on the wall trainer in quotation marks. Because when I went to the cashier, he had a name tag on. And it had his name and it said trainer. Like he is not a trainee, a trainer, like somebody who teaches the other people how to do their job, right? And he was like, never made eye contact. He had these little Fiesta things going on in his hat. And he never would look up. And he was speeding through everything. And I would have to say, no, wait, back up. I said, can I get this? You know this, know that, that kind of thing. And like not even caring, like he just wanted to get it over with. Back to the next thing. And then I was trying to ask about a code for this because you had codes to go into the restroom and wash your hands. And I was like, and I didn't even get out a word. I said also, and then he's like, the code's on the receipt, and he cut me off. And then I was like, dude, you're a trainer, dude. You're the guy who's teaching all these other employees like how to act, and you're the worst. Like, there's nobody behind me. There's no line. Like, you're just crappy at your job. How did you get to be a trainer? And I couldn't get over it. I was obsessed with it. And I went and sat down in my seat waiting for my order to be delivered to me. And so I just sat there and I watched him. Not like an obsessive, creepy way, but I just sat there and I was like observing. And there was a group of girls that walked up, and then people started coming in. So there's a line of people. And he was just chitty-chatting with them to where people were noticeably getting angry. And you could tell he wasn't pushing buttons. He wasn't doing nothing. He was just talking about whatever was going on out in the city. And the girls were being, like, kind of thuggish. They were just, like, saying stuff like provoking him and saying, like, trying to be, like, making arguments or whatever, starting stuff like, you don't want to be like that with me or whatever, la, 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 la. And he was laughing and talking and just, like, they were having a whole, thinking they were putting on a whole show. Meanwhile, they had to end up calling another cashier up because the line was already out to the door. But it wouldn't even have been that way because it was like 2-3 girls and like 2 guys. And this dude was just chitty-chatting like they were high school friends or something. Oh, it's trash. It was just the worst. But, and you ask yourself, are you just an old man? Because you think, no, dude, it's not about that. It's about being observant. It's situational awareness. It's me sitting there going, how are you even, like, employed? Like, is this what we're reduced to? Like, you're the one wanting, $15 an hour. Like, you can't even do your job correctly. Like, I would pay somebody $18 or whatever the asking rate is for if they would provide quality work. You know what I mean? I was talking to a friend of mine about that. Like, well, you should apply to this job and this job. There's certain restaurants that have like hardcore reputations for busting your butt and like having high expectations. They pay you more, but you're not going to dick around and you're not going to be like half-assing the customer service. And I can't help it. I've like spent more of my life in customer service than I have not. You know what I mean? And so it sticks out to me. Like, I can't stand it. Especially if you have the word trainer in giant letters below your name. Like, you should know what you're doing. Anyway, so then I go and while I'm sitting down, they bring me my food. And then I'm telling you, this little girl, she could have been more than 8 or 9 years old. And you have people at different tables or whatever. And it's Fiesta downtown, so it's pretty packed out, whatever. But downtown is like a lot of different major cities. There's a lot of homeless elements. There's a lot of danger, a lot of, child abduction is like through the roof right now, statistically. I mean, I'm always seeing Amber Alerts about young kids and babies and whatnots, but kids being taken into like sex trafficking and stuff, it's just an obnoxious time right now. So when I see this 8 or 9 year old girl and she's walking with a basket to table, and she's trying to sell something, and I know she's going to end up coming to my table, which, by the way, is like a pet peeve. Like, if I'm trying to eat, I don't even like eating around people. I don't even want to eat. But if I'm having to do so, somebody coming up and trying to talk to me while I've got like mustard on my face or something, it's going to drive me out of my mind, right? But I figured I need to find out. I need to know what's happening here. So the young girl comes up to my table, and by this point I've watched her go to the different tables and she's not with anybody, right? And I'm looking outside for to see if there's somebody watching. Like you have an attentive parent or whatever that's like, go in and do this bit, but I'm gonna be watching you. I couldn't find her spotter. I tried looking. And she always want to buy some cookies. They're like in a plastic bags or whatever. And I have no interest in eating cookies that were hand put into plastic bags. You know what I'm saying? Like little Ziplocs or whatever. They basically bought like a package of cookies and like just put some cookies in a little Ziploc. And I was like, well, how much? And she's like, $5. And I'm like, okay, well, $5 for like, I don't even know what kind of cookies they were, but it was, anyway. And I said, look, I mean, I can appreciate you out here, hustling, like straight up. But I said, tell me that you got somebody watching your back, because it's dangerous downtown. And this is after I gave her some money, and she, you could tell she was trained well, because they have her already with that hustler mentality. With like, I was like, oh, I'm sure I got $5, and she's like, I'll take 10 if you got a 10. You got, and I was trying to get the 5 out of my pocket, and she said, oh, I see another 5 in there. You want to give me that other 5 too? And I'm like, okay, they got you like hard trained to be like a hustler. But I said, tell me that you got somebody out there watching for you, like that's taking care of you. It's very dangerous out there. And she gave me this look like, yeah, like the way that you tell somebody, yeah, like when somebody knocks at your door or something, and you say, well, you're not home alone or whatever. And it's not even a true scenario. I'm just trying to say it was that look, you know what I mean? Where the person, she kind of gave me a look like, yeah, people are with me or whatever. And then she took the money and I watched her go off into all that dangerousness with nobody taking care of her. And it just drives me crazy. Like, she had a fanny pack with cash in it. I mean, what are people thinking? Like, I'm not a bad element. I'm not a thief. I'm a hard worker. I'm whatever. But I'm also not stupid. I can see someone like that and think through the eyes of a criminal and think that's a vulnerability. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're not a hustler like that and let a child go out there like that. They had to be somewhere. Somebody was, watching that child with a gun, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, had to be. I mean, that's the way I have to think about it. But as far as I could tell, I couldn't spot it. And I thought about my child, and I thought, I couldn't even imagine. I could not imagine my child even going downtown, much less being left to her own devices with a fanny pack full of money and like selling some cookies on a hard hustle like that. It's like I remember being at a drive-through window, and a little boy coming up to my window with I was with my ex-wife at the time, and the little boy was crying his eyes out, just crying, going car to car, and I mean sobbing. Like, you can't act that. Like, I don't care how good you are. He was like, and he couldn't have been more than 6 or 7. And he was a little kid. They're not gonna let me go home, he kept saying. And we're like, baby, what's wrong with you? Do you need help? Or like, you need us to call somebody? And he just kept, he was like, you know what I mean? Like, it was ridiculous. And he was like, they won't let me go home if I don't take rent, if I don't take some bill or something. We have to make more bill. We can't make no money. We're good. And he was weeping and crying. And my ex-wife was trying to calm him down, like, baby, what is wrong with you? Like, what do you need money for? You please have some money. They won't let me go home. Like, just, it was heartbreaking. And then, of course, she throws down. But probably not even true. They probably just But had it not, picture it not being me and my ex-wife. Picture it being, some some people wanting to sell some children into slavery, right? Just grab the kid, throw him in the trunk, and vámonos. I say 6, 7, probably like 8. I'll give him 8 or 9. He was able to talk and articulate, but it was just like muffled cries and whatever. Anyway, I'm all about I get it, I think for sure there should be some sort of qualifying, you talk about the rights of people that have kids and what to do with your body and all this kind of stuff. I always read those bumper stickers about no men should tell women what to do with their bodies. I get it, but so you're saying if there was qualified intellectuals that are women who sat around and said, this is what women should do with their bodies, you would listen then? It would be cool? Or no? Because, I don't think that's the case. My take on that, I don't want to get in the weeds on any of this stuff. We'll just let that be for another day. I really don't want to get into that. All I'm saying is that using your kids for hustle is low. And you could say, well, that's poverty and maybe that's just the way it is and you have to. No, man. No. Give me that shit. I've filed for bankruptcy. I've been dirt poor. I've been, on the verge. I've had to move into my parents' house. Blessed to have that opportunity. But I've also lived in people's houses on their couches or whatever. I've also worked 3 jobs. I've also done what it took. I've stood in the day labor lines at 3 a.m. There's choices to be made. I remember getting my car. I don't know if I told this story. I remember being in Austin and I was playing on the streets and a friend of mine was going to come out there and meet me. I was playing guitar on the street for money during South by Southwest. I had no business being there. I had no original music to speak of. So I was expecting people to hear you and think you're a good singer and just pick you up. But I did it. I was out there playing. And he had his car towed. And so we had to do hustles the whole time. I had to pawn my guitar. We were walking 10 blocks and then we had to he was doing some volunteer handing out cigarettes for some cigarette company was why he was there doing on a promotional team. So we had a couple of cartons of cigarettes and we were selling them on the streets while we walked, and we sold them to a bunch of gutter punks that a big group of them, and we sold them for discount. And we did everything that we possibly could, short of panhandling, which we just refused to do. And by the end of it, we were able to get the money to get the car out and then get back to our lives and then come and get my guitar out of pawn. But anyway, I guess I'll tell one last story and then I'll close it out. I did want to do a short one for this one. Yeah, I'm telling you, I had this whole other agenda to talk about. Maybe if I have time during the week, I'll do another episode. But you know what? I'm gonna save the rest of that. There's more stuff to talk about. But I'm glad I got an episode in, and Justin.